And
Operation is not rotate device back.
I'm making my coffee, so take your time, buddy.
no, pero es que lo queremos así. Estamos teniendo aquí dificultades.
Alright guys, so just so you know, this is our first night ever, so...
I think we're good now.
Are we good?
No,
Why am I looking myself at...
that's what I don't understand.
Here we go.
It's not locked.
Be honest, Gabo. You took the feet to run up and grab some Doritos.
Deja, tío.
Maybe I need that to go onto a handstand, but not Doritos. Let's turn the camera, let's go. Yeah, let's go, let's put it vertical. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm sorry for the people that are not able to attend. We're not going to be able to send the whole thing maybe, but we're going to do our best.
No, tío, es que no lo entiendo. No lo entiendo.
The camera is set on portrait instead of landscape. Either the camera on the YouTube or live stream. Yeah, that's what we're trying to fix, actually.
For some reason, it says orientation is locked, rotate device back, but it's not locked. So, it's weird.
Meanwhile, guys, thank you so much for staying here. You guys rock and all your comments are amazing.
No va a poder ser, tío. I think we're gonna have to do it this way.
That way, doesn't matter. We're too hot.
Yeah.
As long as the camera is recording, we can edit it. And
Yeah. 1 second.
así, así, así.
Alright. Well, the good thing is that we're gonna send them the clean version, high definition.
Who's gonna edit that? You're gonna edit that. Oh, I gotta edit a new video. Will you upload this live stream to watch later again? I will send it to your email. I will send it to your email for sure. Do more webinars like this. I will for sure, 100%. Hey man, it is stupid and it worked it. That's good. It worked.
How does it look though?
So how does it look? Does it look good? Can you guys hear me well? Después pueden hacer un live behind the scenes. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Blurry, it's blurry. It's not in HD. Works for me, no focus, hola. It's okay, it's still portrait, but we can see everything. Good, sounds good, excellent, all good, go ahead. I think if you guys are seeing it blurry, it might be with your internet, but se ve regular. Pixelated, yeah, pero se escucha bien.
A little bit.
Can you guys read the board? Oh, you can see it. Yeah,
I can see it.
It depends on the... It's blurry, then good, se ve bien. Alright, so let's continue. 480p is the max resolution, that's what it says. Bravo, el puto amo. Gracias, Marco. Sí, la pizarra.
Yeah.
Alright guys, so let's continue. So, as I was saying, when you're working towards max strength, you want to keep your reps no more than 5, meaning your intensity needs to be high for you to not pass that 5 repetition. And the sets are going to depend on how many reps you do. If you're going for 1 rep max, go for 10 sets. If you're going for 5 reps, go to 5 and play around with it. All these different combinations are going to work. 5 by 5, 3 by 8, 1 by 10, but keep the reps low is the most important part. And your rest periods are going to be long, meaning 2 to even 5 minutes. And the reason for that is pretty self-explanatory. You want to be completely recuperated before you go and attack your next set. When we're talking about max strength, you are training your CNS more than your muscular system. And for your CNS to recover, it takes way, way longer than your muscular system. So that's why you want to be resting a lot, so you can put a lot of emphasis, a lot of power and basically intensity on every and single set that you're doing. Moving on to endurance sets. Let me change the marker first. So endurance set, for the frequency, we're going to be talking about basically the same, moderate 2 or 3 times per week. Let's put a week here. But this is what is going to shift. Your volume is going to be very high, and your intensity is going to be very low. And the trick here is that the volume is not so much how many exercises you are doing in that particular workout, but how many reps and sets you are doing in one particular exercise. So per exercise. And now that we get to the reps and sets, you're gonna see what I mean. So we go to reps, we go to sets, and we go to rest. So for reps, we're gonna keep it between 15 and plus. And you wanna try to go to failure. So depending on how hard you're making the exercise, you're going to be working towards 15, 30, 40, 50 reps, but remember you're working towards your endurance and strength. You're working towards doing as many as you possibly can, so you want to be getting into that rep range. If you are doing less than 15 reps, you're going to be falling into the hypertrophy area and even into the strength area, and you're not going to be working your endurance capacity, which is the amount of oxygen that you can produce and your muscle resistant to perform an exercise for a long period of time. So keep the reps 15 plus and do a couple sets to failure, maybe not all of them, but try to at least 2 of the 3 sets try to go to failure. And the sets, you're going to keep it between 3 to 4 sets per exercise, again keeping that reps very high. And what is going to vary is going to be the rest. You're going to rest for 30 seconds to a maximum of 60 seconds. And why is that? Because again, we're working towards getting as many reps as we can. We're working towards our endurance capacity, our capacity for our body to recover fast and do as many reps as quickly as possible. So if you're resting like way too long, you're not going to be building that endurance capacity. So just to recap all this, strength, max strength, keep it under 1 to 5 repetitions with a high intensity. If you go past that 5, your intensity is not high enough. So keep the intensity high so you can be in rep range, keep the sets high, and keep a long rest period. And when we're working towards endurance, you want to keep the intensity very low, meaning doing push-ups or knee push-ups if you're at that level, an intensity that allows you to do more than 15 reps. If you cannot do 15 push-ups, if you get to 10 push-ups and that's your max, you need to go into knee push-ups if you're trying to increase your endurance and strength. You know what I mean? And keep your rest periods very short so you're able to create that endurance capacity in your body. So I'm going to let you guys screenshot this. Guys ready? And go. And the last one, what we got last? Hypertrophy, right? Hypertrophy. How much, Gabo, how much rest between the exercises? I just said, if you're working for max strength, 2 to 5 minutes, and if you're working for endurance, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Explosive is crossed out because it is another very extensive topic. I might do like a whole webinar on just how to get explosive. I don't want to complicate too much things. I'm going like briefly seeing strength, skill, mobility, and hypertrophy, because what I really want to focus on is in the combination of all of them. So let's move on to hypertrophy. We're gonna get to the Q&A at the end. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get it. So hypertrophy. Hypertrophy, people call it different ways. Basically, building muscle mass, having an aesthetic looking body. Maybe it's not the interest for a lot of people, but some people do want to look good on the beach. It depends up to you. So we're still gonna go for those three principles, which are gonna be your frequency, your volume, and your intensity. So hypertrophy is one of in between the four, is the one that you have the most variability and the most room for exploration, because there are many ways to build muscle, and you're gonna see what I mean with that. So the frequency, you wanna keep the frequency high, but not high that you train biceps every single day, but high that you train every single day. When I was on my bodybuilding phase, I was training from Monday through Saturday, but you wanna, the frequency high, but with proper rest in between muscle groups. So, proper rest between muscles. Which is usually going to be 24 to 48 hours. But you do want to be training every single day if you really want to create an amazing physique and you really want to create a hypertrophy. Now, the volume is going to be, I think, moderate. Actually, high. Okay, so the volume is going to be high, and the intensity is the one that is going to be moderate. And I'm gonna do a huge star right here. Star. For me, volume is the most critical factor when we're talking about building muscle. Somebody asked me in a Q&A, what do you think is the biggest factor to build muscle? Not based on literature, not based on what people say, but based on your own experience. And for me, it's volume. If you're putting enough volume into a particular muscle group, you are going to build muscle. You need to build muscle, you need metabolic stress, mechanical tension, and muscle damage. And muscle damage is one of the most important one of them. And if you are not accumulating enough volume, your muscles are not going to grow. So keep that volume very high and keep the intensity moderate, and that's going to depend on your volume. If your volume lowers a little bit, you can up the intensity a bit, and if your volume is like super high, choose exercises that are not too hard so you can put a lot of work into that specific workout. Which brings me to the second point, reps, sets, and rest. So for the reps, when we're talking about hypertrophy, I'm going to put it this way. 6 all the way to 100. Because there is this thing that people say that there is a magic number, magic rep range, which is called the 6 to 12. Which is actually true. This is actually the best rep range to build muscle. But okay, let me just go back. This is actually the best way to build muscle, but the most important part that you want to achieve is going to failure on most exercises. So let me recap that. If you're going to failure at 6 reps, you're going to build muscle. If you're going to failure at 100 reps, you are going to build muscle. You want to be choosing at least 3 or 4 exercises that fall into this rep range, choosing the right intensity, meaning if you're doing push-ups, for example, and you can do 100 push-ups, and you only do 12 because they say that the magic rep range is 6 to 12, you are not going to build muscle because, again, you're not going to failure, you're not giving your body enough stimulus for your body to grow. So choose, if you want to go into this rep range, put a weighted vest and make sure that the 12th rep is going to failure. But if you have like 2 more in the tank and you want to get to 14, go to 14. And if you are able to do 50, 60, 70, 80 push-ups and that's your failure, you're still going to build muscle. So what I mean is that you're going to build muscle regardless of the rep range as long as you are going towards failure. Choose some exercises with intensity that you can go 6 to 12, but don't don't overthink too much of the rep range. As long as you're putting enough volume and as long as you're going to failure, you're going to build muscle. So the two most important parts on hypertrophy that I want you to take out is your volume needs to be high and you need to be going to failure. Then the sets is really going to depend on how many reps you're doing and how much volume you're doing, how much intensity. But let's put it as a general guideline, 3 or 4 sets per muscle group. And your rest period is going to be short, not as short as endurance training, but short enough that allows your body to cause that muscle damage and allows your body to grow. So 30, I would say 30 to 90 seconds. Don't go beyond that. It's a good rest period for you to build muscle. And another thing that I want to see on hypertrophy is that there are many ways to build muscle. As long as you keep the volume high, you go to failure, and you keep your rest period short, you're going to build muscle. But people ask me, okay, how many per muscle group, or should I do circuit style? And that's what I want to write right here. Circuit style which means choosing 5, 6, 7 exercises and doing them in a row with no rest in between, then you rest 30 to 90 seconds and then you repeat that cycle. It's an amazing way to build muscle. Not a good way to build strength and not a good way to work on your skills, but it's a good way to build muscle. Also, let me throw another one at you, pyramid sets. Or supersets. So what I mean is, you are going to build muscle if you have these things in place. If your volume is high, if you are going to failure on most exercises, if you keep your rest period short, if you add variety by doing circuit style, supersets, pyramid sets, you need to find what method actually works best for you on building muscle. For me, circuit style, that's the one that I found that builds the most amount of muscle for me. I don't do it anymore because right now I'm more focused on the skills, but that's an amazing way to build muscle. And obviously, rest in between muscle groups, 24 to 38 hours, sleep a lot, and your nutrition is going to be key. You're not going to build muscle if you're not eating enough, or you're not going to lose fat if you are not keeping your calories low and you're not eating the right kind of food. So take a screenshot of this. We're going to do a Q&A at the end if you have any questions about this, but for now, I think this is enough. So, wow. Bien.
Bien, 18 minutos.
Not all in. You guys already gave me information and everything. We're going to get the Q&A later because there are way too many comments. All right, ready to race? Let's go. Now is the tricky part, now is the magic part, now is the best part, why you guys are here, how to combine them, how to be mobile, how to be flexible, how to get strength while having skills, how to build your body at the same time you are doing that. We're going to call that the combination of them. We're going to put here the 4, which are going to be skills, strength, hypertrophy, and mobility. So let me go back to the beginning. Remember what I said, prioritization is key. Even though I'm going to show you methods on how you can combine them and the best way to actually combine them and get the best of each world, remember that you're always going to be sacrificing something. If you really want to get your hands on, if you want to be a handstand master, if you want to be on one arm in less than 1 year, if you're trying to build muscle at the same time you're doing that, you will not have success. You may have it in like 3 or 5 years, but it's going to take longer. So the more the more you choose to do together, the slower you're going to progress on each one of them. So that's what I said. Clarify your goals. Make sure on which ones do you want. So what I'm going to do is give you first the way to combine the four, which is the hardest way, and again, you're going to slowly progress on each one of them. But that's okay. If you want to be a well-rounded athlete, if you want to create your body while you get some skills, while you get some mobile, and you have the time to combine all of them, that's totally fine. But again, if you really want something, if you want the planche, only the planche, and you want to get it as fast as possible, forget about building muscle. And that's my stage right now, for example. I don't focus on hypertrophy. I'm going to talk right now about how I train, but for now, let's see how we can combine this. So we're going to call this phase 1. Phase 2, and this is a workout example, and phase 3, and 4. So the first thing that you want to do at the beginning of your workout, if you're trying to accomplish all of this, is working on your skills. Then you want to be working on your strength, followed by your hypertrophy, followed by your mobility. Why? Because for your skills, you need the maximum amount of effort to actually perform that skill. If you do a strength training during a track or CNS, you won't be able to perform the skills properly. If you do hypertrophy before the strength, your muscles are going to be completely dead, you're going to be exhausted, you're not going to be able to exert as much force to actually increase your strength. And basically mobility is just good to do it at the end just because of the sake of it. So we're going to give an example of, let's say we want to achieve the handstand. We want to also achieve, let's choose one for each. So you want to achieve the handstand, you want to build your strength for muscle up, which is also a skill, but let's put it as an strength part right now. Then hypertrophy, you want to build your biceps and you want to build your triceps. And then on mobility, you're working on your planking. So how does your workout is going to look? So we're going to be working first on a skill. You're going to be choosing like 1 or 2 exercises for that handstand. So maybe you're in the state that you're holding it against the wall. You're going to be handstand hold against the wall. I'm not going to put reps and sets just because you can just go back and see the principles of each one of them, and you can realize how many sets, how many reps, and the rest periods that you need to do when you're on the skill area, when you're on the strength area, when you're in the hypertrophy area, and when you're in the mobility area. Then, let's say you are not fearful to get off the wall and you're practicing your handstand, so you're going to do handstand attempts. This is going to be phase 1. Then you're going to move into the strength part and you're going to be working on negative muscles. Again, working on that rep range and that resting period of the strength principles that I mentioned before. So you want to be doing 3 to 5 negative muscle ups, or if you can do more, you need to increase the load. You need to find an intensity enough that you stay on that rep range. Then let's say you do weighted pull-ups to also increase the strength of your muscle up and just increase your pulling strength. Then you go into hypertrophy. Once you work on your skills, once you work on your strength, and once you, your skills, your strength, and then you're going to your hypertrophy is when you said biceps and triceps, you can be going for ring curls. And you're going to superset that because, as I said on hypertrophy, there are many ways you can do it. You can do a secret at the end to create that hypertrophy. But for now, we're just going to call it a superset of ring curls and tricep extension to build the biceps and triceps. And then at the end, you're going to work on your pancake mobility. Pancake stretch. So this is how it would look. Basically, you want to train your skills first, you want to train your strength, then you want to then move on into your hypertrophy, and then you want to work in your mobility. But this is the most complex one, and this is when you're trying to achieve all of them. But most people, or some people, just want to achieve one or two of them. When we work with clients and when we work with private coaching, I make them rate from 1 to 10, how much do you want this? And based on that, we're able to give you a program that allows you to get the best results for your own specific goal. So let's say you don't care at all about mobility. Then the pancake stretch, you can take it away, and then you're going to be able to add more in your hypertrophy training, add more into your strength training, and add more into your skill training. Or let's say then you don't want to build muscle. You just want to get skills down, and you just want to get your strength down. Then you're going to be able to do 4, 5, 6 sets of handstand, then 4, 5 sets of strength, and you're going to progress much faster on those skills, and you're going to progress much faster on those strengths, just because you're not taxing your body with hypertrophy. That's basically it. There are many, many ways to combine. That's what the Q&A is going to be for. Screenshot it. But to summarize, you want to be working your skills always first to be completely fresh. You're going to be working on your strength afterwards, so the hypertrophy doesn't tax you for the strength. And then you want to be working on your mobility at the end. There are other methods, there are millions of methods. I'm going to be releasing many, many videos. And that's also why I created Saturno movement, because I want to give you like show routine for each one of them, so you can also combine them. Saturno movement is not going to be just programs to get stronger, or that is going to promise the promised land of getting everything. Saturno movement is going to be different sections, areas, so you guys can mix and match depending on your own individual goals, so you can get to that goal in the fastest amount of time. Because there is no point on waking up and doing 100 push-ups if your goal is to be a handstand master. And there is no goal of stretching your ass off for 2 hours if you just want to be a master in some level, or if you want to compete in a calisthenics competition. You need to find your goals and mix and match. And that's what we're going to do with Saturno movement. We're going to create different programs for different sections. We're also going to teach you the way that I train, which is basically the combination of yoga and calisthenics in the morning. This is just one way to combine them, but I also do active rest. Let me put some pointers so you guys can some extra additional information. So active rest, meaning you stretch in the middle of your sets depending on your goals and depending on which areas you want to stretch. If you follow my follow-along videos, you know that I always do that. I don't like just resting, standing like nothing. I like to rest while I stretch, because most of us don't have enough time during the day, so you get the best bang of your buck by having active rest. Then is greasing the glutes. And by this applies, I do it for both skills and for mobility. So remember that skills and mobility, the frequency needs to be high. So what I do is, even though I have my skills session and I have my mobility session, throughout the day, I also do some handstands throughout my entire day. I also work on my mobility in the morning, the afternoon, in the middle of my training, before I go to bed. So that was what would be called greasing the glute. And then I cover everything. That's it. And the other thing would be doing 2 sessions per day. Because if your main goals are, like, let's say, a skills and a strength, maybe the best way to go, if you check my how to combine strength and skills, another method, instead of doing your skill first and then going to your strength in the same workout, you can do your skill training in the morning and then your strength training in the afternoon, and that will be actually better if you have the time to do so. You have 2 sessions in the day, increasing the group, doing some skills here and there, a stretch here and there, and stretching in the middle of your workout. Obviously this takes a lot of time, but maybe some of you guys have that time. So these are the 3 main tips that I actually use, and these are the 3 main tips that we are going to incorporate in the Saturno movement programs. All programs are going to have active rest in the middle of the sets that we're going to be doing. All programs, another section is going to give you little routines of 2 or 3 minutes of mobility and skill work that you can do at your office, that you can do at home, that you can do at any time during the day. And we are also going to give you the chance and teach you how to combine a yoga session in the morning with a calisthenics session in the afternoon, or both calisthenics sessions, or depending on your own goal. Just stay tuned for that. There is a lot coming on, but this is what we're trying to mix, this is what we're trying to create, so you guys can get the best out of every single world, and you guys can make your own decisions on your own individual goals. So that's it. Let's go to the Q&A section. I think you guys have a lot of questions now.
Okay, so we hit 30 minutes.
Okay.
We just hope that it doesn't go down or that the temperature goes up.
All right, let's hope for that. So what about adding HIIT cardio training? You can definitely add HIIT cardio training depending on your goals. If you what are you trying to do for HIIT cardio? Most is going to be losing fat. So I would add it just 2 or 3 times per week. Or you can also train in a HIIT fashion, basically training style. So you're working your muscle, but you're training in a HIIT fashion style. So you're doing as many pull-ups as you can, you rest for 30 seconds. You do as many pull-ups as you can, you rest for 30 seconds. You walk hard as you can, you rest for 30 seconds. Just incorporate it here or there. If I do, for example, okay, Andy, if I do example rounds of 25 squats, 12 lunges, 5 side squats, 20 feet crab walk, 50 quad kicks, with no breaks between exercises. At the end, then rest 90 seconds, then repeat the round for 3 times. Which type of training is that? Cardio hypertrophy? That will be basically a cardio hypertrophy. You are going to build muscle, and depending on the rep range, and depending on how much you're going to failure, you can be going into the endurance category and into the hypertrophy category. It's going to be a mix in there. You're going to build your endurance capacity, and you're also going to build muscle if you're going to failure. Like if you're feeling like your legs like really hurt, which I see that workout that for sure is going to build your legs. So that will be hypertrophy. If we do the greasing the group method for the skill, do we still have to do the skill session? Yes, totally. Greasing the group, well, totally, it depends. If you really want the skill, I would recommend you do a skill session and then just do greasing the group throughout the day. But be careful with the volume, because as I said, intensity is frequency is super important. So if you do that session super hard and you grease the group way too hard, you won't be able to train for like 3 or 4 days, then you're doing it wrong. But if the session is short and you're not doing that many sets in the group, you're able to train the next day, then you're doing it right. Should I treat now or later? Whenever they call you. What do you prefer, doing full body workouts or some kind of split upper body, lower push, leg? Right now my split is pull, push, legs. No, I do pull, push in one session. Mind you, would be pull, push on one session, practice and mobility on another session, and I just cycle that and I do legs like once per week. So I go really hard on the skills that I want to master right now, which are plank and front lever. Then the other days I just do handstand, mobility work, and focus on my mobility skills. Then I repeat the planche, then I go into legs, then I repeat the soft session, and then I go back into the plank and the front lever. How often to do full body workouts? It depends on how hard you're going. If you are doing a high volume workout, you need to space that at least one day in between. For example, I do full body, not full push. Instead of, I don't have the legs, but it's full push, it's still full upper body. And I go very, very hard, so the next day I can't train. If I train, I'm just going to be overtraining. So I do one day in between. But if you do like one exercise per body part, I know a lot of people who do it every single day. It just depends on how much volume you are. Remember the three principles: frequency, volume, and intensity? Depending on how much volume you are. What is the estimated time for your program to come out? I don't want to say a date, but we're planning to do it maybe by the beginning of next year. We're still filming and editing, but the e-commerce is going to be ready before that. We're going to purchase our shirts, our yoga mats, our yoga blocks, and parallels. We have a bunch of things coming out, but the program itself is going to be by the beginning of next year. Brother, the one that were in Spanish, please write it in English. There are people who speak in English. I speak Spanish, but sorry. Should I stretch legs after leg strength training? Actually, that's the best thing that you can possibly do. After my leg training, I always stretch legs. I go for my middle split or I go for my side split routine. I don't know if you guys have seen my side split routine, but train legs and then go and stretch your legs. The best way you can do it. I'm intermediate advanced athlete. I've been training a skill for about 15 to 20 minutes and then doing similar muscle groups for about 30 to 40 with max out rep ranges. For example, I do muscle ups with a full day, front lever with a core day. Is this the most efficient way to train these skills? You are going to progress with your skills, but you are not maximizing what you can get from those skills just because you are maxing out. And if you are maxing out, you won't be able to do muscle ups for like 2 or 3 days depending on how hard you're going. So I would just lower the volume a little bit, maybe up the intensity, and increase the frequency a little bit more. So don't go max out because then you're going into the realm of hypertrophy and you are not going into the realm of strength. So what I would do is practice your skill for 20 to 30 minutes and then instead of maxing out, try to choose a progression that doesn't allow you to go to 5 reps and above, because then you are going to build some muscle. As I said, hypertrophy is correlated to a strength and a strength is correlated to hypertrophy, but they also can harm each other, especially if you're going max out, you're going to harm your strength a little bit. Brother, write it in English and I'll answer you. What is the minimum strength that would have to start with the skills and progress correctly based on your experience? It truly only depends. I would say that if you can do 10 push-ups, if you can do 5 dips, and if you can do 1 pull-ups, you are ready. And even below that, even below that, I know people who cannot do dips and pull-ups yet, and they are practicing their handstand because it's a completely different element. And it also depends on which skills you are working on. Obviously, if you're going to do 1 pull-up, you are not going to try to do a muscle up. But if you're going to do 1 pull-up, that has nothing to do with handstand, that has nothing to do with presses or anything else because it's a completely different strength. So it all depends on which basics you're talking about and which skills you're talking about. I'm from Venezuela. How about injuries? Have you ever had medial epicondylitis? You know what that is? Alright bro, you got me there. You put me in the spot. I have no idea what that is. I've had both of my shoulders are dislocated 40 times each. It's been a year that I don't dislocate them just because I'm training way smarter than before. I got my lat injured. I wasn't able to do push-ups for like an entire year. My wrist, I couldn't do handstand for like an entire year. I was doing it on the parallel. And somebody asked me like yesterday on my Instagram, I've been injured my lat for like a year and I stopped training. Should I go back to training or should I keep training? And I say, don't stop. I mean, do exercises even if it's going for a walk. Not training is going to actually slow down your progress in your injury. If you go to a doctor and they say rest, that's the worst advice that somebody can give you. Do exercises that doesn't affect that specific pain, but do exercises. You want to be moving your blood flow going, and that's going to speed up your process in your recovery.
By the way, medial epicondylitis is also known as golfer's elbow.
Oh, okay. Yes, I suffer from that. So that's another term for, thank you. We got my man right here, spending all day. Yeah, I suffer from that, and what really fixed it, besides putting ice, besides CBD oil is amazing, but what really fixed it was lowering my carb intake, like fixing my diet, because I'm very sensitive to carbs. So when I get that massive pump and I get like way too huge, I feel like tendonitis like all across my body. That's why you guys see me like I'm way skinnier now than I was before, and I haven't had that problem since then. So what really fixed it, going back to that, is lowering my body weight and going into an anti-inflammatory diet. That's what really got all of my injuries out. I haven't got injured in like a year. Thank God, please. I don't want that after the injury I get injury. It's because I'm like 15 pounds lighter than what I used to be. Because before I was focusing way too much on hypertrophy, I was putting way too much stress on my body, I was eating like way too much, and my body wasn't meant to carry that amount of muscle. I feel way better right now. I don't have pain anywhere. Before I had pain like all over my body. So going to an anti-inflammatory diet, ice, CBD oil, rest properly, movement, foam rolling, all that things is going to help. Well, I'm going to answer 2 more questions. We're running out of time. Where can I find exercises for mobility? I mean a book, a blog, or something. Wait for Saturno movement to come out and you're going to find thousands of mobility exercises. 50 t-shirts will be available. That's it. I was reading it. What about wrist pain? I have pain in my both hands. What do you recommend? I would recommend the same for the elbow. I suffered from wrist pain for like a year, and it was because I was too heavy for doing handstand, and that was like way too much pressure. And I don't have pain on my wrist anymore for 2 things. First, because I adapted to it, and I warm up very properly before I do handstand, but also because, as I said, I'm way lighter, so it's not really that much of a strength on my wrist. I'm confident that if I gain 10 pounds more and I weigh the same that I used to weigh, I'm gonna get pain all over my body. So get light, lose body fat, lose body fat and lose water as well. Lose anything that doesn't really serve your body. One last question. Thank you, nice shirt. Thanks. Handstand push-up tutorial on YouTube, that's coming for sure. It's been the most requested video ever. What advice would you give to a complete beginner? That's an amazing question to end this. Basically, start with something. Depending on beginner, you can be a beginner and have complete no experience, or you can be a beginner and have some experience. So begin with something that you can do it every single day, and that can mean just walking every single day. If you come from a background of just staying in the couch for years, start by walking every single day so you get your body to release endorphins, to get you motivated, because motivation is another huge topic that people ask me, like how do I get motivated? Just get moving. So start small, don't set huge goals, focus on the basics, and on the basics for you, because focus on the basics and people say, okay, push-ups, dips, and pull-ups. But if you're not able to do 1 pull-up, that's not a basic for you. Basic for you would be incline Australian pull-ups. And if you're not able to do push-ups, that is not, push-ups are not a basic for you. Knee push-ups are going to be a basic for you. So start small, build your way up gradually, and do the things that are for your level, basically. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I'm sorry for the interruption. We're gonna try to put this video together, maybe with that camera or with both videos together, and send it back to your email so you guys can rewatch it, you guys can screenshot it, right? You didn't have the chance to screenshot. And I hope you learned something from this. If you learned something, please like this video as soon as you leave this. And also if you can comment on that video so when people watch it, they know that it's a good content too. Or if you want to leave comments on other videos about this video, you can do that too. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Your support really means the world to me and to my entire team. Like this gym and the entire thing that we're building wouldn't be possible at all without you guys' support. By the way, next Tuesday is going to be a vlog showing you how the gym was built, so stay tuned for that. And that's it guys, thank you so much and I'll see you next time. Peace out.